Hello everyone, this is Reza and welcome to the next part of intermediate rigging. In the previous session, we made the chain for the leg and we created controls for reverse footlock chain, and we put together some attributes and assigned them to the foot control. So everything is nice and clean now. So if you haven't checked the first part of the intermediate rigging, you can just click on the top up banner or check out the rigging playlist on YouTube. We continue with the Survival Man done by the amazing Mr. Michael Burson, and he was generous enough to allow me to use his model for this rigging tutorial series. I'll put the link in the description below and make sure to check him out. Alright, without any further ado and without any wait, let's get into the second part. In the second video, we are going to fix flipping issues in our knee control. And that is actually very common amongst all the rigs. So if I go here, although we have a very sturdy rig and the orientations are working for us beautifully, if I select the foot control and move the leg, I can probably change the background so you guys can see and hide the grid. You guys can see that as soon as I move, because the pole vector stays put, the knee flips. Now to counter that, animators have to just select the knee control, animate that again. Unfortunately, that method is very counterintuitive and cumbersome. Animators need to look after two separate controls for any smooth foot movements rather than just a foot control. So we are going to address that in this tutorial. Now, with that, let's get the ball rolling. Now, first things first, we are going to create a empty group node. So I'm going to go to Edit and place a group node and put its pivot exactly where the pivot for the control L knee01 is. So I'm going to select the null group, hold down D and hold down V and snap the pivot to the same location that we have the pivot for control L knee. Now simply I'm going to select the knee control, press Control C, Control V, and that's going to be the group node that holds the knee control. So I'm name it CTRL L knee underscore GRP01. And simply gonna middle mouse drag that knee control into the group node. I'm probably going to hide the character because we just want to work with the thigh chain, and I'm going to switch back to the side view. Now the idea is for us to kind of maintain the distance between these two chains using the IK handle, but I cannot apply IK handle on any of these chains because remember we already have a leg IK handle on the thigh chain. So adding another IK handle will create complications. With this, we need to create the secondary chain, one go from the thigh to the ankle and the other one from the ankle to the thigh. And we connect them using a rotate plane IK handle. And I'm not going to click on top of the thigh chain because if you click on top of the thigh chain, it's actually going to consider the thigh chain as the starting bone and it just creates one end bone. We don't want that. Just click away with the letter V held down and it creates a brand new chain right at the center at the thigh chain. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to click on the ankle. I'm going to click away with the V held down. And that's our new chain. Let's create a brand new chain again, but this one starts from the ankle, goes to thigh. So I'm going to select the join tool, hold down V, click once, click twice, and press enter. With that, we now have two separate joints, but the orientation and the pivot of the all joints are in the right location. So these joints are sharing the same pivot, these joints are sharing the same pivot, and there is no offset. If I go to perspective, you can see that these are located nicely. I'm just going to go to right, and let's rename them real quick. I'm going to call this one the JNTL top knee flip, and this is of course going to be JNTEL top knee flip, and the bottom is going to be JNTL bottom knee flip and JNTEL bottom knee flip. So let's go ahead and do that. Now let's go ahead and change the radius for them as well, because right now they're sharing the same radius. It's a bit annoying to select them. Just going to select JNTE ones and increase their radius to something like maybe 1.2, so they're a bit easier to select. Now it's time to think about how we can assign a pole vector to these guys to maintain the distance. The thing is, we don't want to apply pole vector directly on the joints. We use a middle person, and that middle person for us is always an empty null group or a locator. I prefer locator. So let's create two locators. Just going to go to create locator. I can probably name that and duplicate that. Now this locator is going to be named LOC for locator L top knee flip 01. I'm using the exact same naming convention I used for the L top flip 01 joint, and I'm going to duplicate that. So it's going to be locator L BTN knee flip 01. Now we want these locators to be part of the main chain for now, simply because we want them to follow the orientation of the thigh joint. So the top one, I can select the top locator, shift select the thigh joint and just press P, and I'm going to select the bottom, shift select the JNTL ankle 01 and press P. Now with these two selected, I'm just going to go and zero out the orientation of the locators, and as soon as I zero out, you can see they snap to these joints with the right orientation. Fantastic. I just need to move them to the side a little, so I'm just going to press the W and move them to the side, because what I want is the orientation. I don't care if they're parented to the thigh chain. I'm going to unparent them as a matter of fact later on, but what is important for me is the orientation needs to be correct, and with that method we've got the right orientation. I'm just going to reduce the local scale XYZ to something like 0.5, so, or maybe 2.3, so they're not too big. Now we have the locators in place. Let's set up the IK handle for these two. So I'm going to produce two separate IK handles. One goes from JNTL top to JNTEL top, and the other one goes to JNTL bottom to JNTEL bottom. I'm going to select the IK handle. Again, you can just double click on it, make sure Rotate Plane Solver is in fact selected. And with that selected, I'm going to select the JNTL top, control select via the outliner, JNTE, and I create my own IK handle. I'm going to name this RPIKL top knee flip 01. Again, following the exact same naming convention so we don't get confused. I'm going to select the IK handle again. Let's do the same thing for JNT bottom knee flip 01. So select the JNTL bottom knee and JNTEL bottom knee flip 01. And for this one is going to be RPIKL BTN knee flip 01. Now the next step is to connect these two IKs to these locators using pole vector. Now, as I said, these two locators don't need to be part of the chain, the thigh chain and the ankle, The only reason we did that because we wanted them to have the right orientation. Now they do. I simply select both of them and press Shift P to drop them into root in the outliner. We don't actually want them to be part of the thigh chain. Now we have rotate plane, IKs, we have 2 locators, and we have 2 chains for our knee flip, and all 6 have pretty much the same naming convention, again for clarity. Now let's make the connections. Now this locator, LOC top knee flip 01, needs to be part of the spine, and later on we're going to create just a simple joint. We put everything into that joint, including this locator, and we connect that joint to the spine and pelvis. This locator here needs to be part of the foot control and foot chain, and it needs to be moved when we move the foot control. So if I go and select my foot control and hold down Shift click to reveal everything, you can see this joint right here, reverse foot JNTE L ankle 01, is the one that we want this locator to be parented to. And now probably you understand why I didn't just press H on it, and I went to draw style and switched the draw style from bone to none, because I need them visible here to make the connection. Now with that said, let's select the locator BTN knee flip 01, control select RFJNTE L ankle, and press P. So locator is part of the ankle joint. Now it's time to set up our pole vector. I'm gonna select the bottom locator, control select the bottom knee flip IK handle, and I'm gonna go to constrain and pole vector. And I'm gonna do the same thing for the top locator, control select the top rotate plane IK knee flip 01, and go to constrain and apply a pole vector. Now before I test the chain, I need to relocate these guys to the right hierarchy so we don't get any weird movement. Now this top no flip IK needs to be part of the thigh chain. So I'm going to select the RPIK L top knee flip 01 and control select the reverse foot ankle 01 and press the P key. So both locator for bottom knee flip and IK for top knee flip are part of the RFJNTE L ankle 01. Now just to show you, if I move the control for the foot, you can see this bone now moves with it. Now let's look after the bottom, but I'm not going to select the bottom IK, I'm going to select the bottom joint this time. So I'm going to select the bottom no flip joint, control select RFJNT L ankle, and press the P key. So let's review again to make sure we're not getting it wrong. The locator for the bottom knee flip, the joint for the bottom knee flip, and the IK handle for the top knee flip should be part of the L ankle joint. Now look, if I select the control for the foot and move, you can see everything moves with it. Great. Now, as I said before, I need to create a joint here at the thigh and put the entire system into that joint, and that joint later on will be connected to the spine. So I'm going to go to my side view, and again I'm going to use the same trick that I did to create these two bones. I'm going to go and click on the skeleton or create joint tool, hold down V and just click anywhere in the space, but not on the joints. There we have our joints. Now, check in the perspective, because there's a good chance that we snapped it to the locator, and that's in fact the case. Later on, we're going to hide these locators, but for now, I am going to do two things. I'm just going to snap it to the thigh joint, and I'm going to fix the orientation, because I can see from the axis that the X is not down the chain, so we've got to fix both of these issues. So I'm going to select the move tool, holding down D and V middle mouse, snap it to the joint, and of course, as usual, I need to do something about the radius, and I'm going to make it the biggest in the chain, so it's really easy to identify. Now, the next problem is the orientation. As you can see, the orientation is not X down the chain. As a matter of fact, I can enable local rotation axis, and that is not the case. I'm going to go to Attribute Editor and put -90, and now X is down the chain. That is much better. That's the orientation that we want. With the joint selected, I'm going to click again on local rotation axis to toggle off its local rotation axis. Now I'm going to select the joint and of course name it. I'm going to name this JNTL leg connection 01 because it will connect the entire leg to the pelvis and the spine. Now it's time to parent the leftovers of our improved knee control into our leg connection. So with these three selected and their locator for top knee flip, IK handle for bottom knee flip, and joint for the top knee flip, I'm going to control select the JNT leg connection 01 and press P. So everything is nice and clean under this master leg control. What else can we add to this master leg control? Of course, our original thigh joint can go under that, because eventually that would be the one that we're going to skin to the geometry. So I'm going to select the JNTL thigh 01, control the parent, which is JNT leg connection, and press the P key. So joint for the top knee flip, IK for the bottom knee flip, locator for the top knee flip, and our original thigh joint are all under the leg connection 01. Very nice and clean. Now if I go and select JNTL leg connection and zoom back a little, you can see if I were to move this, everything else moves with it. And that's exactly what we want. This joint is going to represent the left leg. Now we're almost there. All we need to do is to create two null locators, place them at the pivot of the pole vector, make the right connection to the thigh chain through a point constraint, and we're pretty much done. Now I'm going to go to create and create a locator, and I am going to call this LOC for locator, L top knee 01. I'm going to duplicate that and rename it to LOCL BTN knee 01. Now select both of these locators and hold down V and just snap them both at the end of the pole vector control where the actual pivot for the pole vector is. If the pivot for the pole vector is at the center of the control, then make sure to select these guys and snap them to the center of the knee control. Let's very quickly change the local scale to something like 0.3 for all of them. Now it's time to parent them to these two joints. So the top, I'm gonna hold down Shift, click on the JNT top knee flip and press P. Select the bottom knee locator, hold down Shift, click on the bottom knee joint and press P to parent. So we drop them into the bottom and knee flip joints. So if I select both of them and press F in the outliner, I can see the top knee locator is part of the JNT top knee flip, and locator and bottom knee is part of the JNT BTN knee flip 01. Now to bring everything together with those two newly created locators, I'm going to select the new group node that we created for the knee control at the beginning of the tutorial. So I'm going to control select CTRL knee GRP01. Make sure not to select the original CTRL knee 01. Needs to be the group node. And then I go to constrain, point constraint option box, reset its setting, make sure and maintain offset is off. We don't need to maintain any offset, and go add. All right, let's check this out. If I bring back the character and rotate the knee, no flipping. As you can see, there's no flipping happening here. Very, very exciting. Time to do some cleanups. So I'm gonna make the character invisible, select these two locators and put the local scale to 0. I'm gonna select these two bones, top knee flip and bottom knee flip. Control A to go to attribute editor and select their drawing style to none. Gonna do the same for the top as well. So JNT BTN knee flip 01, set it to none. For the JNTE, set it to none to make them invisible. And of course, IK handle for top knee flip, H to hide. IK handle for bottom knee flip, H2, hide. We don't need to see them. Also, these two locators, I can do the same thing with these two. I can select them and go to their local scale and zero them out. So they're there, but they're too small to be seen. That's it. Now we've successfully made our improved knee control where there's no way that you can kind of flip this. And the good thing about this is pole vector actually comes with the foot control. And even better, if I select the foot control and rotate, you can see we not even get any flipping when I rotate the foot control to the extreme in y-axis, which is quite an accomplishment. So it makes the job for the animators a lot easier not to deal with any flipping issues, and they don't need to counter keyframe the pole vector and knee control every single time they move the foot control. So that's how you improve the functionality for your knee control. I truly hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for tuning in, and see you soon.